Good morning, parents. Let's take a few moments to center ourselves, be still, and set our intention for the day. But before we dive into the content, please do show your support by liking and subscribing to this channel. Not only does it encourage us to continue making more content, but it also helps our videos to rank higher and be made available to more parents. Let's take a deep breath, let go of any negativity, and fully connect with yourself in this present moment. So, today we're going to continue with the backstory of Joseph, picking up with his four parents. We're looking at Genesis 26, we're picking up at verse 6. Genesis 26, verse 6. And it says, And Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked him of his wife. And he said, She is my sister, for he feared to say, She is my wife, lest, said he, the men of this place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. Now, if we remember, his father did exactly the same thing with Sarah. He also was among the Philistines and said, She's my sister. And technically, his sister, because she's his half sister, but he purposely lied for the same reason, because he was scared they would kill him for his wife, who is extremely beautiful. So we see, like father, like son. So continue in verse 8. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out a window, and he saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife. So he's flirting with and playing around with his wife as a man plays with a woman that he's in love with. So he knew from what he saw, that's not your sister. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety, she is thy wife. And how saidst thou, She is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, Lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, What is this that thou hast done unto us? One of my people might lightly have lain with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in that land, and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. Now we see the same instance happened with his father, that his father lied, and the king had actually taken Sarah into his household, hadn't touched her, but had taken her in and had kept her. And God sent him a dream to let him know, don't touch her. She is this man's wife. And then he returned her. So similar situation is going on here. God didn't punish Abraham for the lie. When Abraham was told to leave with his wife, he left and they gave him a lot of possessions. So the same thing's happening here, that God, right after we hear what he did, it says, and God blessed him, not 30-fold or 60-fold, 100-fold. And in our human mind, we may think, wait a minute, does that mean I can lie and steal and do all these manner of things and still be blessed? That's not the perspective that we want to take from this. The perspective that we can take from this and still let it be honoring to God is that God's intent for you doesn't change. Remember, God says, I have a plan for you, plan to prosper you and not to harm you, for your good, for a good future. That plan is not contingent on, okay, you were good today. Okay, plan ahead today. You were bad today. Oh, nope, grind it to a halt. Today's portion of blessings, you're not getting it because you misbehaved today. God's love for you is not conditional. He blesses us despite us. He's not blessing our bad behavior. We must not get those confused. He is not blessing our bad behavior, but the blessing he had in store for you, the intention he had for you, comes to you no matter what. God does not remove his gift. He could bless you with a ton of gifts and you use them for evil and not for good. He's not going to come back, oh, taking back my singing voice, oh, taking back my instrument gifts, oh, taking back my artistic gifts or my gift for architect or medicine, or no, he doesn't do that. If he gives you a gift, the gift is given. Could you imagine humans that come to you and says, oh, I'm going to buy you something, give you something, help you with something. But then the minute we're out of favor with each other, or you act in a way that I don't really align with, I'm going to come back and take back the keys to the house or the car, or take back the clothes or the shoes. We don't do that. So we don't want to think that we're better than God. No, his ways are much higher than our ways. So this just lets us know that God's intention for your life, his plan, is not contingent upon your behavior. A lot of times when we misbehave, we step out of line. We no longer want to go to him or hear his voice because of our guilt and shame, and we take an alternate course. It's not that the path for us isn't still there for us to walk in. We choose to walk a different path. We don't want to get those two confused, right? So he isn't blessing their lies and their deceptions. He's blessing them despite it, because with or without the lie, he has an intention for their lives, right? So that can be encouraging for us today. So we continue. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. For he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servant had digged in the days of Abraham, his father, the Philistines had stopped them up and filled them with earth. They were jealous of them. From his father down, there was a jealousy because they saw how blessed they were. Everything they touched, everywhere they went, they were blessed. So the wells that his father dug, that should have been his, they should have had a right to use, they stopped them up. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we are. So now they had become so big in numbers, so big in wealth, that the Philistines were starting to get disgruntled, that these people, these foreigners living among us, and now outshining us in every way. And it was causing bad blood. So they were told, okay, you have to leave. And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and he dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father. So he redug them. For the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. So their custom was every time they dug a well, they would give it a name, and some name that was glorifying to God, to just acknowledge to themselves and to God for their gratitude, and to everyone that drank from there, that it was God that has blessed us with this. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek. So that means contention. So he named the well contention, because they strove with him. And they digged another well and strove for that also. And he called the name of that one hatred. And he removed from thence and digged another well, for all that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth, which means spacious. And he said, For now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. So we see a lesson here, that this was land that his father had possessed. These are areas and wells that his father had dug that were rightly his inheritance. And those in the area were fighting with him for possession of these things. And first well, they dug back up and they came and they fought with them for the well, and they were striving with them for the well. Instead of stating their claim and saying, This is mine, and fighting for it, Isaac said, No, move on. And they dug a second well. Same situation happened. Isaac said, Nope, we're not fighting, move on. And the third well they dug, the people didn't fight with them for that well. So he named it Spacious, being God has now made room for me. And let this be a lesson for us. We don't need to fight for anything, even if it is rightfully yours. You want to look at saying, Lord, for me to fight for this in this way, the way I see, is going to be harmful. It's going to be detrimental to the cause of Christ. So it doesn't mean that you don't stand up, you don't exercise your voice, you don't hold your ground. Situations will call for that. But then a lot of situations are going to say, move on. Because when God gives you a blessing, you don't have to fight to possess that blessing. So we don't need to walk over anyone to get that job, just like David didn't kill Saul because he knew he had been crowned king decades earlier. He had right in his hands the opportunity to take out the one that was obstructing him from taking possession of the promise that was made to him. But he says, I will not touch the Lord's anointed. When the Lord wants me in that seat to be king, he will take me there and hand it to me. I will not fight anybody for that position. And let that be how we go forward today, that we are going to operate with honesty and integrity. And we are going to trust God that when it comes time for us to go into our possession, he will make the way for that. If you haven't done so already, please, 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 pretty please, do click that thumbs up button to let me know that you see value in this. Also, please remember to check out your app store for our Coaching for Parents app. It has some amazing free content that is going to be invaluable to you as you navigate raising your tweens and teens. And as you go into your day, remember that you are highly blessed, greatly favored, and deeply loved, and that you already are victorious in Him. So go forward today with the expectation of success. And keep your eye open for little treats that He may have already planted along the pathway of this day for you. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, for another moment of meditation.